Hello everybody and a very warm welcome to Crafters TV. It's Friday! Yes! The weekend is within touching distance and we've got a really good day lined up for you actually. A really fun day, really exciting day as well. We continue on this show with our Crafty Stash. Today all about embossing. So get your questions in. We're going to make it a nice interactive educational hour. Anything you want to know about embossing, get those questions in and we'll do our interactive session at the end of the show. And I know Debbie's got loads lined up to show you too. And of course tonight, an hour earlier than normal, don't forget. We hammered this yesterday, but just to tell you again, 4 o'clock this afternoon, that is 11 a.m. if you're Eastern, that is 8 a.m. if you're Pacific. We have got our countdown to birthday. It is a big show, 3-hour show, where Sarah's going to be here taking you through all of the brand new launches which are coming your way starting on Monday. So do make sure you're in nice and early for that. And as always on these big shows, we give you opportunities to win. And there is a big voucher up for grabs tonight. So hope you can join us, even if you can just drop in for a bit. But certainly if you can join us for the full 3 hours, that would be marvellous. But like I said, back to today, you guys have absolutely loved these shows this week. You've loved the refreshers. You've loved also, if you're beginners, the chance to perhaps look at and try out a brand new sort of discipline with Incraft. And as I say, today is about embossing. And Debbie was super excited. It's the last one of the Crafty Stashes.
I know, can you believe it? Last time in my craft room. But come on in. Come on into my craft room because today's super exciting because it's all about embossing. Anyone that knows me knows it's something I genuinely love because embossing is something that can really enhance your makes, whether it's in the background, whether you want it the main focal point of your card. If you want to know anything, sit tight.
And yeah, get those questions in. We've got Radical Rachel on the socials this morning. Already in is Rebecca Dancer saying hello. Hello to Lois saying good morning everyone from Ohio. Hi to Lynn who's joined us from Newcastle. And Miss Kathy says good morning from Devon. Yes, that's my shire, that is. Hello Devon. Karen Callan says good evening from Adelaide, Australia. Crafting with friends as usual on a Friday night. I hope your Friday's been good. Let's get into it though. Let's get started with our Crafty Stash. And Debbie's going to give us a bit of an overview as to what we're going to cover over the course of the show.
Yes, embossing. What is embossing? I mean, embossing comes in lots of different forms, but what embossing is, it's making an impression into your cardstock or other things, which I'm going to show you throughout the next hour, that you can do. Now, we're going to be talking all things embossing folders, which come in forms like this. So you've got 2D embossing folders, you've got 3D embossing folders. So if you didn't know what the difference is between them, we're going to go through all of that. We're going to go through dry embossing, we're going to go through heat embossing, we're going to show you different mediums to go on to. We've even got a cut and emboss folder, so we're going to be showing you how you do those. I mean, when cut and emboss folders came out, it absolutely blew my mind because I thought, how can you put a die inside a folder and get an impression? We're going to cover that, so don't worry. Or I'm not. The makers are going to cover it. So, but we're going to be looking at different mediums, but also smaller folders as well. So different sizes of folders. I mean, all of these are different in every way, not only because they're 2D, 3D, cut and emboss. This one's a 3D one. We're also going to be looking at different mediums as well. So things like mount board. You probably didn't think you could actually cut mount board. Now I've used one of our mixed media dies, just a heart to cut, and it's really, really firm, but you can emboss this and make incredible designs. What I love about this as well, if you put a varnish over the top, you can then use it as a coaster. So we're going to be showing how to emboss that. I've got some aluminium, so this is just a tin can. When you emboss a tin can, it sort of bevels the edges, so it doesn't make it sharp. So this is really good if you like mixed media, if people like putting different mediums on their project, which is amazing. We've also got some vellum as well. Now, vellum is one of the most beautiful things that you can emboss. And I'm not even going to show you my finished sample because I want you to see it in all its glory when we do it. In our first demo, we are going to be creating this. Now, this shows you lots of different levels. We've got dry embossing just on the white. Inside, we've got letterpress, and then we've got using your ink pads over the top as well. So this is sort of like double sort of inked really, and it's a really cool design. But I also want to show you just how 2D folders look like this one. It just gives you that really sort of almost just beautiful sculptured look in the background, but giving a really beautiful design. I absolutely love that one. And then we've just added a little bit of ink over the top. So stay tuned, because we are going to be looking at all these different things and much more. And don't forget to ask any questions that you want as well, because we will be answering all those at the end of the show.
Yeah, and any questions, we would love them, please. And also, if we kind of go through something in the show and you're not quite sure, or you didn't quite understand what Debbie meant, again, we're happy to kind of go back on stuff and talk about stuff again, or maybe if we get time at the end to show you something again. So please keep watching. Please fire in those questions. And as I say, there is no such thing as a silly question. So ask away, even if you think it's the most simplest thing in the world. If you don't know the answer, then we need to get it answered for you. Hi, Karen, who's joined us, and also Pat, who says, hi, Ben, Debbie, and the Super CTV crew, and all my crafting friends from New Jersey. You say, I have enjoyed the whole week of Craft Your Stash. All right, let us get into it, and let's have a look. First of all, the first little bit we want to talk about is different embossing techniques.
I'm going to show you some embossing techniques and how to get beautiful impressions onto cardstock. Right, I've got two pieces here and I've got two folders, because my main thing here is to show you what the difference is between embossing folders. Our first embossing folder, this one, although it's bigger, it doesn't matter what size they come in. You get 3D embossing folders and you get 2D embossing folders. Now, if I place my piece of card, I've done this so you can see that really well. So I've just got a blue piece in there. This is what we call dry embossing, and we're literally just going to put one piece of card into our folder. Now, it doesn't matter which way this one goes, because it's a textured folder, so you get embossing and debossing on both sides. This one, however, if you're putting a card in that you want to get to that embossed side, what you need to do is open up your folder and run your hands across the top. One side you can feel is bumpy because it's raised. This side is fairly flat. I can feel the pattern in it, but it's flat. The flat side is always the front of your folder, because we want the impression here to push up into our cardstock. So we're just going to pop that inside and bring that over. And these both just going to create beautiful embossing, but called a dry emboss technique. Now, when you use your folders for your Gemini 2, what we're going to use for our 3D folder is different to our 2D folder. The 2D folder needs just two plates, so super easy. Top and bottom cutting plate, and we're just going to sandwich that through those two pieces, and all we're going to do is offer that into the mouth of our machine, and that's going to then do all the work. So it's just a case of running it through and getting that beautiful impression, and it really is as simple as that. So let's bring that one in, take that one out. I'm going to bring that in. You can see there we've got that impression, but if I turn it round, if I turn it that way, you can sort of see that beautiful impression. Now that is called dry embossing. I'm going to show you how to enhance that soon, so we're going to keep that one to the side. Now our next one is a 3D embossing folder, and this one is a little bit different because it's a 3D folder. We've not talked about actually the difference and why we call them 2D and 3D. A 2D folder, if you think of levels, they go up, across and down. That's what a 2D folder will do, one level of embossing. A 3D folder will give you a sculptured look, which will go up and down and maybe a little bit down, but not fully. You'll get sort of 3 different levels of that, which makes it pop more, and it's a deeper impression. Now for this one we need different platforms, so we're going to use our plastic shim, our magnetic, then our folder on top, and then just one of our cutting platforms, and we're going to run that one through. So just slightly different. You will find everything in the user manual, so and all online. So if ever you get stuck, I do believe on the website we do have different machines. So different machines that are on the market. If you've got a 2D or 3D in folder, it will tell you what plates to use for them. And then when we've done this one, you'll be able to see that sculptured, amazing look. Look at that. Now let's move it to the close there so you can see that is stunning. And then if I turn it round, you've got it on both sides. So you've got your debossed side and your embossed side. So a debossed is your side that would go inside the card, and the next one is what comes outside. But with a sort of sculptured look like this one, you can do it either way. It looks just beautiful. And that's how we get that gorgeous dry embossing on those. Now, what I do also want to show you with embossing is how you can then elevate it, and we can take it to a whole new level. So we can add inks now to it. So I've got that piece of card that we just used here, and all I'm going to do with this is take my ink pad. Now I'm using a water reactive one, but actually you can use any inks that you've got in your stash, and I'm using a baby blue because I want to keep it really sort of neutral and just look in the background. And I'm going to take my ink pad directly to my embossing, and I'm just going to very gently rub over the top, not with a heavy hand, but we're just going to pick up all those tones and all those levels that are coming from that embossing. And you can see there, look how beautiful that is coming to life. And we're going to keep going and just taking that to the end. You can build that colour up, you could put a darker colour if you wanted to. This will dry lighter because it's a wet ink at the moment going down, but it just gives it that amazing effect. And if I just bring that up there, look at that, absolutely stunning. So that will dry. When it's dry, I'm going to bring my card in here, and you'll be able to see that you can put that into a card. I've just add a little bit of sparkle, so just put a little bit of glue in the middle there, add some little sparkle, and you've just got a really beautiful, delicate embossed area there. So that's our dry embossing, but then adding ink, and it's also our 2D embossing. Now let's do some letter pressing, which is one of my absolute favourite things to do. So I'm going to take that 3D embossing folder again. We're going to take 2 pieces of card this time, and I'm going to take another blue piece of card, but this time we're going to bring in one of our Midas ink pads. This one is our silver, and it's just a metallic pigment ink pad. You can use any pigment ink pad, but I like the idea of having the silver. Now with letter pressing, what that means is we can go directly onto our folder. But this time I want my risen pieces that are in the middle here to be coloured. So we're just going to bring this round, just going to move my plates to the side so I've got a bit more room. And we're just going to pop this onto the top. And all I'm going to do is work that over so you can see where that's going. And that's just picking up one level of our embossing. And this is going to give me this beautiful laydown of metallic colour, which is incredible. And you can put as much or as little as you want on, so just cover in all of those. And it's just a case of going round, making sure all of those sort of top notches or middle notches there are covered. Once that's done, we're then going to place our card back into there, pop the cover down, and then we can run that through. So remember, this is our 3D enfolder, so what we need is our magnetic, our plastic shim that will go into there or on top of there, and then our top plate, and then run that one through. So nice and easy, and the more you play with embossing folders, the better they're going to be. You're just going to absolutely love letterpress technique, because it is just one of those wow techniques all the time. So let's bring that one in, let's put that to the side, take this one up. You can see that's debossed all of that. Let me turn that round so you can really see that metallic coming through there. Absolutely, there we go, stunning. Now we're going to do a little bit more to that as well. Firstly though, I've just got a little wipe to wipe my folder, and the reason being because I want to show you how we can then incorporate our dry embossing into our folder as well. So I don't want any ink on there, so we're just going to clean that off. So just wipe it with, you could wash it in warm soapy water. I've got some biodegradable wipes, and then we're just going to add this one as well. So this is where we get that dry emboss. I want this, so what we're going to do, pop that back in so you know where that goes. Think where you want to place that heart. So I sort of want my heart to go about here, like so. So all I'm going to do is just pop that back inside, like so. And then we're going to pop that one through as well. Now what this is going to do, this is going to give me an embossed heart, but with that dry embossing, and it's going to match up the detail that we've got in that piece of blue card. Now, I want this to look even nicer, and because it's 3D, it means I've got an extra level to play with, which I absolutely love. So let's switch ink pads. I'm going to pop that one to the side, and we're going to bring in now our Midnight. So I've got a Midnight ink pad, which is a dark blue, and I'm going to do the same as before. We're going to literally gently rub that over the top. Now what this is going to do, it's going to add one layer of dark blue, one layer of silver, and then I'm still going to be able to see that lighter blue card underneath. I love doing embossing folders like this, and absolutely the results you get from any embossing folders are totally incredible. So if we look at that now, I'm just going to hold that up there so you can see it a bit better. We've now got 3 different colours. We've got a dark blue, we've got the mid-tone blue, and we've got that silver running through. And then we've got another piece which is from our dry embossing. So let's bring this one in. This now, look at that. I mean, the level of embossing that you get on there, and turn that round so you can see that a bit better. Look at that. That level of embossing is incredible. We're going to then marry this up onto here. So you just find where that goes in. It will sort of catch in the grooves. So that is perfect size for there. We're going to just trim down that piece off. And then if I bring in my finished card here, you can see we've just cut that down. We've got a beautiful card just full of just amazing embossing. How cool is that? So we've now got our 3D embossing, and we've got our 2D emboss card. And there we go.
Absolutely brilliant, brilliantly explained, and loads of you again appreciating all of the demos so far. Kathy just says, I love all forms of embossing. It does look amazing on vellum, like Debbie said, something we're going to come on to a little bit later in more detail, different materials we're going to look at. Hi to Karen, who says, hello from Florida. I survived Hurricane Milton, you say, and very little damage. Feeling thankful and blessed. Karen, lovely to have you with us, and thank you for the message, and yeah, sending lots of love to all of our friends over in Florida. Miss Kathy says, I love them ink pads, and Cindy Thompson says, Ben and Debbie had such good deals yesterday that I just had to place an order after my 17-hour work day. Wow. Nice way to finish the day though, isn't it? Picking up some deals. Colin says, wow, I love that card. And Lynn says, I'm back. Why is it people have had hours to phone and they choose to call at 12? I know. People, eh? Oh, dear. Loads still to come on this show. If you do want to get a question in, I think the earlier the better, really, because I know there are lots of questions that you'll have. So fire them in, and we'll come towards that interactive section at the end of the show, answer your questions, and again, happy to recap on anything that Debbie has already done over the course of this show. So we've talked about embossing techniques. The next little section that we want to come on to, and again, I think a section that a lot of people need sort of refreshers on, and something you might not have seen before, is heat embossing. How do we do it, and what do we need? Let's find out with Debbie.
Let's have a look at heat embossing. It is one of those most remarkable things. It's one of my favourite things to do, and I know it's going to be yours because it's what got me started heat embossing in crafting. So you're going to absolutely love this. Being able to do inking onto a folder. So we're going to do this a little bit different than a letterpress technique. Now I've got one of my favourites embossing folder. It's the Hydrangea Blooms. It's from our Hydrangea collection. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's only got a smaller, this is a smaller folder. It's actually a 4x6 folder, and I've took myself just a piece of 300 GSM smooth cardstock, and we're going to use this. But first of all, I actually want to ink our folder, but I actually want to do the deboss side. So being able to pop this onto the raise, normally with a letterpress you would go over the top of the smoother side and letterpress. I actually just want to put colour where I need it. So this is where our ink daubers come into effect. I've just took 3 here because these are the colours I want to use, and I'm also using pigment ink pads. Now this is really important when you're heat embossing. You do want to use pigment ink pads because the pigment will stay wetter for longer, allowing you to put on your clear embossing powder and then heat emboss. And if you've not seen it, then stay tuned because we're going to show you exactly how to do it. So let's start off with a bit of the pink. And the pink I'm going to just place onto my folder. I'm going to go in directly right into the middle of these flowers. And you can see I'm putting plenty on. It's a very wet ink. It means it will stay wet on my cardstock. But it's just a really cool way of being able to add that ink and get it precisely where you want it. So that's all I'm doing with the pink. We'll pop that to the side. We can always go back in if we want to. And before I forget as well, I'm going to bring this in with my card. I have got an anti-static bag. It's just corn flour in a little bag, and literally we're just going to wipe our card with that. That will just make sure that my embossing powder, when I put on, will only stay in the places where the wet ink is. Then let's bring in our crushed velvet. And again, we're just going to go in with this, and I'm going to tap round the edges. Well, this one's not as juicy. I think we're going to need a new ink pad eventually for here. So let's just, I think we've just got, it's a crushed velvet one, this one, and it's, yeah, I think we're going to have enough ink for this one, but it's one of our studio ones. So let's just tap that. And I love that we can really have this precision. And don't worry if the ink is going around the edges, that's just going to make it look even nicer. So literally pop that into place like so, making sure that all those petals are covered. And then I'm going to go back in just with that pink one, just to dot that round to smooth it out so it doesn't look like a harsh line. And then we're going to do the same on this one, just around those edges. So there we go. So because it's a wet ink, it means that it's pigment, and the pigment means that the colour is going to last a long, long time. So you don't have to worry about it fading. So your projects, like, you know, sometimes where you put projects next to the window, I'm just going to switch my ink pad out. Just going to have a new one here. There we go. Oh, that's better. There we go. We've got much more ink. There we go. That's a nice one. So if ever your ink pads, and actually a good tip, let me give you a good tip about ink pads. If your ink pads get to where, I mean, we use these all the time in the studio. If they get to your inks running out a little bit and they're getting a bit dry, you can tell that one's a little bit faded compared to this one. Turn them upside down and store them. If you turn them upside down and store them, you'll get all the rest of the ink that's in there come to the front, and it'll be, you can use it for a bit longer. But you can see the difference with this one, how much darker the ink is, because this is a nice wet, juicy ink pad. So just taking that one round, and then I'm going to add some more onto this side, because the wetter the better, because it means that the we don't say that with rain, do we? But you do say it with your ink pads, because we want that to stick. And then I'm going to go back in with the pink again, and we're just going to go like that, which is just going to add that little bit of blending. And then we're going to go in with our green. So let me pop my lids on so I don't put my arms in anything. That's the other one. There we go. And then we're just going to have the green one here. And you can see this, I'm not worrying about this now, because that's going to stay wet for long enough for what I need it for. And then we're going to go in with our green. So, oh, there's another flower there. Look, how have I done that? Let me just take that bit off. And we will just go back in with that one. Can't believe I missed a flower. So back in with the pink. Because they're pigment, it means they're opaque, they're layerable, so that will just go over the top of that one. And then our purple. And actually a little bit of green in the flower is going to look just as nice, so I'm not going to worry too much. There we go, covering that completely. And just a case. And I love these ink daubers. They come in a box. I think you get about 30 ink daubers in them, and they're just so good for this technique. If you get a little bit of the side like I've just done, you can just take that away, but that effect is not going to harm it at all. And then we're going to come in with the green like we was going to do. So bring that in, and then we can start to tap onto those leaves. And it's a really cool way of adding inks before you emboss, because it gives you that incredible impression. And what this will do, this will deboss into your cardstock and then just look incredible. So just moving that in. Right, let's get that into the folder, or our paper into the folder, and then we can emboss that. So we're just going to flip that over. Like so, you can see there, looks a little bit messy, but you wait and see when it comes out. It's absolutely gorgeous. So pop that on top. 3D folder, so it's your plastic shim, your magnetic shim, and your top cutting plate. You don't need your additional cutting plate with a 3D embossing folder. I like to keep reiterating that because it's really important to get your plates right. And then when we turn that over, look at that, absolutely stunning. So if I bring that in so you can see it, so there we go. Now it will get better because now what we're going to do is we're going to bring, let me just pop my lids on my ink pads. We're going to bring our embossing powder in. I'm going to just grab a piece of cardstock. We're going to sprinkle our powder. So this is just a clear embossing powder you can get from any craft store. And we're going to heat emboss. Now you can see what's happened. It looks lighter. It means that it's going to stick to just where we need it to. We're going to pop that on there. And then we're going to use our tool to heat emboss. This is where the magic happens. So let me clear it so you can see nice and clearly how we are going to heat emboss. You do need to grab yourself what we call a heat tool. We do one at Crafter's Companion here. It's just our heat tool here, and it's got 2 settings. I normally put it on high. What will happen, the heat will come out of here. It will start to heat up. As soon as it's heated up, which literally takes seconds, we're going to start to put it onto. So I'm going to start up here so we can see. And you'll actually see it getting darker and shinier because what's happening is that it's melting onto our ink and it's creating this almost like crystallized effect. It's just such a wow effect. It's got that wow factor. It's the sort of card people will wonder how you've done it because you've got these amazing petals glistening with that embossing powder. It's just a beautiful technique to have and so easy to do and looks really effective in any embossing powder, and not just embossing, in your stamps as well. So if you want to bring it into your stamping and you want to stamp your ink, you can do exactly the same method. So if you're new to crafting, it's a really cool way of just adding something and elevating. Now if you want to, you could add another layer of embossing folder. While this is still warm, take that away, put some more embossing powder over the top, and then you can do up to 3 layers, but 3 layers is your absolute maximum. And if I turn this round, you'll be able to see just how shiny that is in the background. Now I've been a bit heavy-handed in there, but let me bring you in my card I did at home. So we've popped this one into a card, and if I just move that, you can see that shine in the background, that debossed image. It looks absolutely incredible. It's just one of those techniques that I really love, and being able to add that shine onto it is just an incredible thing to do. And like I say, not just stamps, you can do that with your stencils, you can do that with your embossing, and you can do that with your stamping. So if you want to heat emboss, they're the steps that you need to do to try it.
Brilliant, covering all the aspects of embossing, aren't we? Absolutely brilliantly explained by Debbie as well. But like we said, if there's not something you've not quite understood, something you want to see again, something you want to ask, please make sure to get those questions ready because we'll be doing them in around about 15-20 minutes time. Rach Wu says, I've never combined the different techniques and this looks beautiful. Linda Noel, hopefully this show's going to help you. You just say, I've got so many embossing folders and I am intimidated by them. Well, hopefully this show is going to lessen the intimidation and you are going to get them out, have a play, have a go. As we always say, you know, if you follow Debbie's tips on this show, don't get it quite right, the worst thing in the world, you've ruined a piece of cardstock. You can start again. Do you know what I mean? Give it a go. Get them out. Follow Debbie's tips today and you'll have a great time. My Little Melting Pot says, I love embossing. And Rach says, I have the pigment ink pads, but I didn't know what to use them for. This is a craft game changer now, you say. Lots of love coming through from Hadassah, who says, wow, I love this technique. And Colleen Pasadi says, I love watching Debbie doing this card, learning new techniques, actually reminding me about some of these techniques too. And that's what we said about these shows. You know, you're going to learn new stuff, particularly if you are a beginner, but if you are someone who's a bit more experienced, it's just a little bit of a refresher for you and helping you to get the very best out of your crafty products. As I say, fire those questions in, questions coming your way, but we're going to look at next some advanced embossing techniques. Few of you have been chatting about, you know, maybe embossing onto different things, embossing with different materials. So that is what we're going to look at in just a few moments' time. Don't forget, a little bit later on tonight, we have got our countdown to birthday. Super pumped for this. I cannot wait. I said it yesterday. I feel a bit like a kid waiting for Christmas. You know, those few days before, you just like, I just want Christmas to arrive. We've got the preview show tonight for birthday. Sarah's going to be here. It's 3 hours, so we start at 4. That is 11 a.m. for you Eastern. That is 8 a.m. for you if you're Pacific. 10 a.m. Central. We're going to go through the booklet. We're going to show you all the new products. We're going to just have the best time, and somebody is going to walk away with a big voucher to spend with us. So you need to be in. Make sure you're commenting. Tell all your friends as well to come and join us. It's going to be an amazing show with Sarah tonight from 4 here in the UK. I do hope you can join us even just for a little bit. All right, back to the embossing. Questions, please fire them in. Interactive section coming up, but we are going to look now with Debbie at some advanced embossing techniques.
Yes, let's look at some of those advanced embossing, and what that means is embossing onto different mediums and different ways that you can use them. So the first one I've got one of our folders, which is our autumn leaves. I love these ones. These are like our partial embossed folders. So they have a piece missing that you can add your sentiment to, or some embellishments or anything like that. So we're going to be using this one, and I thought I would just show you how to do this onto some black cardstock. So I'm just going to bring in, well, I haven't got my piece of black cardstock with me, so no, I haven't got that one. We'll get that in a second, some black cardstock. So actually, let's go straight to this one, which is my favourite because it's vellum. Now, vellum is a beautiful medium, and I love being able to emboss this. Now, vellum is quite tough, believe it or not. Even though it's a different sort of medium to your normal papers and cardstock, it is a little bit tough. So we are going to just pop that into our folder, like so, and we're going to run that through. Now this is a 3D embossing folder, so we are going to pop that onto there, pop our folder inside. We've got our plastic shim, our magnetic, then the folder, and then the top. So it works exactly the same way as normal embossing platforms, whether it's cardstock or whether it's vellum. We're still doing exactly the same thing because we're actually adjusting our plates to the folders. So the folder itself, let's bring this in. Now this is a real wow, okay? Now, this is your embossing. So let me just, in fact, I'm going to bring it round to the front so you can see it a little bit better on there. So let's just bring that around. There we go. So you can see that embossing like that, which is beautiful, but let me turn it round, okay? This is what you get when you turn it round. You get this beautiful cracked effect embossing, which is amazing. And if I bring in my finished card of that one, I've used a slightly different folder. Look at that. You get that beautiful white. This is like parchment. It's like fake parchment, which is absolutely incredible. So I love that design. Such a really nice one to do. Now, I've just been given some black cardstock, so let's do the black one. So that's our first card, or first material that we wanted to. I've also got some black cardstock here, and we're going to just take that folder that I just had a second ago. I put that down somewhere now. Where have I put my folder down? It's one of those times, isn't it? Let's have a look. Here it is. Here it is. Let's pop this one in. So we've got our black cardstock. We're going to just place that into here. It doesn't matter which way round because black cardstock is black on both sides. And we're going to run that one through just like so. This time we're going to add a medium onto this one. So having your gilding wax. Now, if nobody's seen gilding wax, you need it in your life because it is absolutely beautiful. It's one of those mediums that is remarkable because it was originally made in France. It's a French designs, which is Pebio. It means that it's a really fluffy wax, and all you're going to do is really lightly put some on your fingertips and wipe it on the side. You don't want any blotches, and all you're going to do is take this to your folder, and it's going to highlight in such a way that really just makes this look amazing. So bring this one, we're just going to do a little bit and then I will show you because I've got other things that I really want to show you, but look how gorgeous that is. And then what you would do with that, as you build up, less is more, and you want to sort of build up that colour, putting that on the top. We do lots of different colours. There's bronzes and silvers. Build that up on the top there, and then you want to bring in just a piece of kitchen towel or a cloth and buff it. When you buff it over the top, not only does that set it, it gives it the most incredible shine. If I just bring, I mean, you can see that shine already, but if I bring that round so you can see it on here, let me do it that way. That shine, look at that. I mean, that is incredible that you can gild that gold or any colours onto there. And then if I bring in my finish card, which I've just added with a sentiment, you can see I've used some bronze on there and some golds. A really nice way of decorating your card. Now, they're still mediums that you would sort of generally put onto your cardstock. What about doing items that you want for your mixed media? Maybe you want to make a key ring. So let's bring in a couple of different things. I've got 3 different mediums here. My first one is mount board, which is super strong. It's a really tough cardboard really, but it's super strong. We can emboss that. I've got some aluminium, which is just from a tin can, and I've just die cut that with one of our mixed media dies, and I've just done a little butterfly. And then I've got some leather. Now this is real leather. It's very thick leather, and you wouldn't think that you'd be able to emboss into materials like this, but just these 3 things make incredible embossed detail. So let's bring one of these in. I'm going to bring in actually that flower one, because I think that would look super cool on that heart, so you'll be able to see that. And I'm just going to have that on one side, so we'll pop that into there. Then let's have our tag. I'm going to pop that up onto the foliage here of the butterfly. I don't want the butterfly, but I want that foliage at the top, because I think that will look really beautiful. Lovely for if you're a bag maker or you like to sew and put these onto different mediums. And let's just grab one more of our folders. There's one here, and we'll pop that with our butterfly. So I'm just going to put some leaves on that one. So let's pop that one just there. Make sure we've got all that pattern. Yeah, perfect. And let's run all these through and see exactly how they work. So bringing in again my plastic shim and magnetic. I'm going to pop that one down. If you've got your Gemini 2 and you've got your bigger plates, you could send both through. I should have done that actually. If I had my bigger A4 plates, I could have put 2 folders on there, and believe it or not, because the Gemini and its optical sensor, it would have embossed all those different levels of thickness. So going from the leather over to the tin foil, or the tin can, should I say. I'm actually going to emboss, I'm going to keep you waiting. I'm going to keep you waiting and show you them all at the end. So actually, let's send these all through, and then we can show you the level of detail that you are getting through all of these. So that's our second one, which is our can. So just take that one off. And then our last one, which is our mount board. And bearing in mind, we're using exactly the same platform for each one. So next one going through, so that's our mount board. So we've got mount boards, we've got leather, we've got aluminium. So 3 completely different materials that are very cool to emboss and really cool for mixed media. So if you love mixed media, these are for you. So let's have a look at the thinnest one. So the thinnest one is our aluminium, but look at the level of that embossing. It bevels the edges, so it stops it being so sharp. I'm going to bring it into you there, and you've got the most amazing embossed detail there, which would be beautiful. And bearing in mind, you could use your alcohol pens to colour that in as well. So it's a really cool way to use all your tin cans. That's one of them. Let's bring in the leather, because leather, you would never believe that leather would emboss. If I just take this off, oh, look at that. That is incredible. I'm not sure if it can pick it up on the camera, but the level of embossing on there is amazing. It's just beautiful. And if I turn it around just so you can see the debossed as well, you've got that debossed side. Now, if you did want a better impression or you want it even more, just add an extra paper shim and that will work as well. And then our last one, I mean, this is gorgeous. Come on, look at this one. Love that. So you've actually got your rose embossed there into a piece of really tough mount board, but giving you the most perfect impression. So if ever you wanted to emboss lots of different mediums, I would say give it a go, because you never know how good the embossing is going to be. And I bet it's going to be perfect.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I've so loved these shows, and this one again has been absolutely epic. Kathy Meyer says, absolutely beautiful. Wow, oh wow. Shirl and Telsford says, Debbie, I didn't know how to use vellum, so thank you for showing us how we can use it. Black and embossing, says the Dasset, is always stunning. My Little Melting Pot says, I love embossing leather for earrings. And Colleen says, these techniques using the different materials is wicked. Awesome. Keep the comments coming through, and of course we will be doing our little interactive section for questions in just a few moments' time. Now, do you want to keep up to date and know exactly what is happening as far as birthday is concerned? Well, let's have a look at this. Your opportunity to sign up for all of our 19th birthday news and offers. Get yourself to the website. And you can click into our booklet. I know most of you have probably got this already, but within that, everything that you need to know as far as the birthday offerings are concerned, just underneath, you can sign up for all of our 19th birthday news and offers. Listed there, all of our products that you can click on to get information about, to get notifications about. Really, really simple. Just click on what you want to know more about, fill in your name, fill in your email, and click that sign up now.
I like to get up, chill, relax, get a cup of tea, then get myself sorted. And if I'm presenter, I'll write all my notes. If I'm the demonstrator, I'll get my prep out, have another look at it, make sure that everything is the way it needs to be for the show, do the show. Then what I'll do is I'll grab something to eat. Then have another look at the sheets again, making sure the next show's all good to go. Then we do that show, tidy. I always like to make sure that the area is nice and tidy, either for myself the next day or whoever's in. Jump in the car, head home. I will quickly unpack what I need to unpack, and then I get on that sofa as quick as I can. As soon as we go live, I love that within our live shows, I always get the butterflies. As soon as we get that countdown in our ear that we're just going live, butterflies kick in, and within about 10-15 seconds, I'm going. Butterflies have gone, and we just enjoy the show. Early riser. Oh, shower in the morning. Tea. Oh, savoury breakfast. Masterclass. My mobile phone. Oh, anything with chicken. Currently, it is the weekend, Blinding Light, and it has been for about a couple of years, and I still love it. Apart from jumping in the car, chilling on the sofa, watching TV.
Not long now, is it? Not long now. As I mentioned, get that booklet, and if you want to sign up to get more information about everything which is coming, particular information on new launches, then make sure you click on that little newsletter. And don't forget tonight, of course, we're starting earlier. If you, of course you do. You want to find out what's coming up. You want to see all the deals. Got our countdown to birthday coming up tonight for you, but it starts an hour earlier at 4. Sarah's going to be in. Should be a lot of fun.
It's exciting. I've seen all the stuff.
Yes, yes, loads of stuff. And as I say, if you haven't seen it yet, get the booklet, download it, and we'll go through it all in detail this evening. All right, question time. We've got a few questions coming in, but jotted down a few bits and pieces here, which I think crops up a lot when we do these sort of shows. So we talk about embossing. Obviously, you featured the Gemini 2 and our electronic machines. Let's talk about minis and midis as well? Because I think, again, some people get a little bit confused as to A, whether they can emboss, and B, if they can, what do they need to do?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Things that you can emboss is pretty much anything that will go through your die cut machine or fit into your folder. So I think that's a really good one to sort of know what to do. Also, colouring mediums we get asked a lot about, what you colour them with as well. And I think there's so many different ways. You can use your alcohol inks to go onto your cardstock as well. So colouring with alcohol inks is a really good one. But actually, the tools that you use, Gemini MIDI, Gemini Mini, Geminis, so electronic die cutting machines, handheld machines, manual machines, all of those are going to work. So whatever you've got, it will work. And what I do love, somewhere on our website, and I need to check where it is, in case it's been because we had a new website go up. So I just need to check whether that information is still on there. But we used to have out there exactly what platforms you would need for other machines. But I'm pretty sure that other machines on the market, you would have a booklet that tells you platforms of what you put your embossing folders into. Shall we have a little play with the
I think
manual
we should. It'd be
machines?
nice.
Just so to show people that's what you can do. So I've got a mini and a MIDI. They pretty much do the same thing, but I want to show you, just because one is bigger than the other doesn't mean they're still not mighty. With the Gemini Mini and MIDI, you do get an additional folder in there. So if anyone's got one of these, or maybe they're thinking about getting a Gemini Mini or a MIDI, but thinking, but actually I like embossing and that doesn't emboss. It does emboss, but you just have to use this additional folder. You only need this though, Ben, with a 2D folder. So a 2D folder, you would need your shim, and literally you put your shim on, you offer it into the mouth of the machine and literally run that through. I mean, it couldn't be more simple. And then what will happen with that one, if I just take that off so you can see straight away.
Look at that.
You've got, that's 2D, one level of embossing onto your mirrored cardstock. Just, I mean, it doesn't get much simpler than that.
So simple, even I can do it.
Absolutely. Anybody could do this. My granddaughters love this machine. My Ruby has one of these machines. I've bought her one of these and she absolutely loves it. And the wow factor, not just with embossing, is with die cutting as well. So you need one of those. Now, if you've got a 3D embossing folder, this always wows me, because a 3D embossing folder, you don't need any platforms whatsoever.
Okay.
You literally just offer it into the mouth of the machine, and you can see it's not even the size of the mouth, it's a completely different one. I'm not even holding it.
No.
Look. So simple to go through. You then get, now look at this level of embossing.
Immense.
From a manual machine without any platforms whatsoever. That blows my mind every single time, that you don't even have to do anything with that. So if you've got a 3" by 6" embossing folder or our strip embossing folders, they will go through the machine no problem whatsoever. Now, that's the Mini.
Yeah.
When you talk about other machines and manual machines, for us, it's the Gemini MIDI.
Yes.
So the Gemini MIDI comes again with another shim. So if you want to put a 2D folder through, you can absolutely do that. Now, there are things you can do, because I want to also bring in, Ben, is cut and emboss folders.
Oh, okay.
Because that's another one we haven't talked about. So we've got all these different size embossing folders, but we also do a cut and emboss folder. Now, what that means is you can see the embossed detail, you can see it more in the print on here, but you also have a cutting die inside your embossing folder, which is incredible. That cutting die is going to cut into your cardstock and emboss at the same time. Now, because I'm going to use this in a manual machine, obviously we still get a lot of power for that, but there is nothing better than an electronic machine, but we still have a lot of power in these machines. I like to add an extra card shim into this, which you can absolutely do. So all we're going to do is place this inside our folder. I've just got some textured. I don't even know if I've got a shim here, so let's just grab a shim. I'm just going to pop that on, and we're going to pop our folder.
Does it matter, suppose, whilst you do this, because Lynn's asking, does it matter where you put the shims with this? Because she says sometimes she can't get it to work. Do you need to put them on the top or the bottom, or does it not really matter?
No, it doesn't matter, because when you're doing a shim, this is a tough folder, and this is a tough. So it doesn't matter whether it's on the top or the bottom or which way round it goes. What I would say is when you're putting a paper shim in or a cardstock, put it underneath your folder between the two. And then all we're going to do is offer that into the machine and we're just going to run that through. So that'll make it feel a little bit tougher, but it will give you a really good imprint as well. So let's now look at this. I mean, this is incredible. So I'm just going to take that up. And you've got,
yes.
so if we can pick that up because I've used probably the wrong cardstock here, but the level of embossing, in fact, I'll turn it round the right way. The level of, I definitely used the wrong. In fact, I'm going to do that again. Oh, you can see it.
Yeah.
I think I will do it again though on white cardstock because believe it or not, I think white cardstock will pick that up beautifully. So let's just, not as big, but we will pop that through.
And if you're doing that in your electronic machine, it's again the same plate combo that you'd use for a 2D.
Yeah, so in fact, shall we do both, Ben?
All right,
so let's pop this one through and do it on here, and then we'll have a look and see if there's any difference.
Okay.
So, and I love this about questions and how they work because it's good to, I think I've got that on the wonk. Let me just pop that in. There we go. Yeah, it's good to show that those, the differences.
Yeah.
I've got a mat that keeps moving about at the moment.
Slippy mat.
And that one was a bit tougher, Ben, because my cardstock is thicker.
Right.
But when I take this out, yeah, we can really see that.
Worthwhile, look at that.
I've got 2 pieces in there. Look.
Oh, that would be the reason why.
Look at that.
Shows you how good the machine is.
I was thinking, well, that one was a bit tough to get through, but it had 600 GSM go through there. But it still works. Look at that. That's the power of the MIDI, which is amazing. So that level. But let's put this through electronic, just so you can see what, because we haven't talked about the platforms that you would need for your electronic die cutting machine, and actually it's the same as your 2D folder because it's a 2D folder.
Yeah.
You could again put another shim in, or you could put your metal shim in. I'm going to just put a paper shim. We're going to pop that one in, and I'm just going to grab myself another piece of card so we can pop that through. One piece this time, and just run that one through. So exactly the same, but you only need your top and bottom cutting plates. So super easy to do that. So let's run that one through and you'll be able to see just how beautiful that will cut and emboss. And aren't we lucky in the craft world that we have so many differences? So you can see there, that level of embossing.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Just bring it round. I mean, it's on white. Oh, there we go. Bring it forward. You can see
that's amazing.
That level of embossing with a cut into it as well. That's so intricate. It really does amaze me every single time that a 2D embossing folder with a die in the folder can do that work for you. So embossing, don't ever take it lightly. It will absolutely make your creations just taken to a whole new level. Love this one.
Some more questions coming through, and again, covering off things which I'm just seeing pop up now, and questions which we always get asked. Going back to heat embossing, is there or are there particular ink pads that we need to use to get the best result for that, and ones that we wouldn't use?
Yes, absolutely. So a water reactive ink is not going to last very long, and it doesn't, it won't give the same sort of impression, and it won't be wet enough to put your embossing powder on. Your pigment ink pad is the perfect ink pad because it stays wet for a lot longer, but also your duets, because your duets are a hybrid ink, so they've got pigment and ink dye in them, which means they will still stay wetter longer, but you can still water react with them as well. So I would say more than anything, your pigment ink pads.
Yeah.
I would also say to make sure you use a low anti-static bag.
Yeah, so what does that do
So
then?
an anti-static bag, it literally, look, it just has powder in it. So a lot of people use corn flour and maybe your old tights, cut your old tights up.
Cut your old tights up?
Yeah, cut your old tights up, put some corn flour in it, it will do the same thing. But you can buy an anti-static bag, and it is just a material bag that has sort of flour in it. And what that does is it takes all the static out of your project. So then when you sprinkle your embossing powder on the top, you're not going to get any residue left anywhere else. So it's a really great one to be. But yeah, pigment ink pads are the best ones.
And one sort of final question, I suppose, really, and this has come through from My Little Melting Pot, and this gets asked quite a lot. She says, I see a lot of people spritz the paper or the card before they emboss through a folder. Is this necessary? So are there pros and cons of spritzing? Do we need to do it, or what's the...
So personally, I think the folders are good enough to get through all your cardstock. You've seen me go through leather, through mount board, so I don't think it's needed, but I do know people that really believe in it. So what it does, Ben, I'm going to bring in a piece of card, and let me just, I'll grab this same one here. What it does is it loosens the fibres of your cardstock. So when you spritz, so I've just got my spritzer here, so I'm going to spritz that with water, and then we're going to put it through. And then I'm going to do it again by not spritzing. So let's just pop that onto there. I'm going to use my top plate, run that through. So just pop in that one in, and then I'm just going to grab another piece of card. I'm going to do that same embossing. I'm going to wipe it with a kitchen towel so it's not wet, and we'll compare the two.
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, that gives a beautiful, it would give a lovely watercoloured look. So if I put it on the side, I'm using white cardstock, there you go. So what that's done, it's crimpled the page a little bit here. So it's actually stretched it too much. So that's why I don't think you need it. And then if I just pop this one
and
through,
then you'd have to wait for that to dry, wouldn't you? That's the other thing.
Yeah, I think you could probably, though, Ben, get some really cool effects by spritzing and then watercolouring on the top afterwards, because your pages are still quite damp. I actually quite like the look of that. It looks pretty cool, doesn't it? I know you probably can't pick it up on air, but it is absolutely amazing. And then if I bring this one in, let's do that one again. We put we've put the MIDI sheet.
Didn't even notice.
I'm thinking that's not the right platform. There we go.
Make sure you use the shims for your G2, not from your MIDI. There's so much equipment here, it's easy to do.
I know, that's it, yeah. I am one of these people that gets just really excited about all these things that you can do, and then I don't even look to see what I'm putting through. That's how it gets. And then you've got this one. So actually, I think you've got more crisp embossing from your, we're going to go this way. Yeah, I think this is your dry one. I think you've got a crisper embossing by not wetting your cardstock. So the answer to that, I would say you don't need to spritz your card. I know some people do. I don't think there's any rights or wrongs. I think you do you, and if that works for you, absolutely do that.
Well, there we go. Thank you so much, everybody. Hopefully you've enjoyed your show, and thank you very much indeed for all of your questions. Loads of lovely comments coming through. Hadassah just saying the mini and MIDI emboss beautifully. Cindy Conley says, another wonderful class. Thank you so much. Thank you, Debbie, says Carol D, for all the information and hints and tips on embossing.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Linda saying, thank you, Debbie, for all the embossing tips. I love embossing, you say. And Cindy Thompson, all the Cindy says, great classes this week, Debbie. A big thank you for teaching us how to use the things we may have in our stash. I'll be re-watching over again as I pull things out for crafting. At least you know when these shows were now. So make sure you mark down this week so you know you've got those 5 shows. And I think we've covered off 5 of the kind of top things within crafting.
Absolutely. We've had Lillian at the beginning of the week and then me the end last part of the week. I think it's really essential because sometimes we just forget to bring out these things in our stash. And the fact that we can emboss vellum, we can emboss black card, we can dry emboss, we can letterpress, we can do mount board, we can do leather, we can do tin can, all of these things that we've embossed. And the great thing is that all you need to search for is Craft Your Stash, and all these shows will appear on YouTube and you'll be able to watch them back. So I've loved this week, Ben. It's been a great show.
It's been so much fun. We will see you soon, won't we?
Yes, I'm going to be around in the building next week for the starter birthday, which is very exciting, and then I'll be around then the end of the following week.
Okay, well, we look forward to that. I will see you later, not as late as you normally think, though. Don't forget, 4 o'clock UK time, we're going to be back. So just in 3 hours' time for a 3-hour extravaganza. It's countdown to birthday. Speedy Gonzalez Sarah is going to be in. Make sure you join us for all the sneak peeks and your chance to win. Until then, see ya.
Bye.